I'm like, you gotta turn your mic on.
Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting to order and have a roll call vote. Jeff Chizak,
I am here.
Jen Lambert,
Here.
Al Nebel, not here. Mary Cope is here. We'll have approval of the agenda by a voice vote. What is your pleasure?
Lambert, vote to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it then.
Okay, motion by Chizak, second by Lambert to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. New business. Review consultant presentation. Make recommendation for a 2026 transit operation. And Mike, are you doing that one? Or
Yes,
who's doing it?
I can start it.
All
So,
righty.
thank you, Madam President. So the state of Minnesota hired a consultant to review our transit operation and is providing a recommendation for the 2026 operation. The state of Minnesota as consultants are here, actually they're online, and are going to be going through their PowerPoint and recommendation, and will be here to answer any questions that you may have. And with that, Tammy, are you online? Are the consultants?
Yes,
Thank-
I am here,
And,
but Jill will be presenting.
okay, thank you. And then Max, can you, there it is. Okay, you're up.
Alrighty, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think so.
Excellent.
No?
Okay, so you have the presentation up so you can see it, and I'll be able to let you know next slide. Is that okay?
Sure, that'll be fine.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much again for having us here. My name is Jill Cahoon, and I work for a consulting firm called AECom. Under a contract with the Minnesota Department of Transportation's Office of Transit and Active Transportation. We are subconsultant to DRB Consulting. If you could please advance to the next slide, I'll walk through our agenda for today. So we plan to give you a bit of background and a study overview, talk through current trends across the state of Minnesota, give definitions of some different scenarios that we looked at in evaluating different operating options for Brainerd Crow Ring Transit. We also conducted a qualitative and a financial assessment. We'll walk through the methodology and the results of both of those analyses, and then we'll present a recommendation for your consideration moving forward. Joined by Tammy from DRB Consulting, Crystal from AECom, and Tina is also here from MnDOT. So I'll be here to answer any questions you may have as we walk through.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Take it away.
Okay, wonderful. To give you a little bit of background, we are, and I had it up on my screen too, so it's distracted me. I'm turning it off. Our study was set out to develop, as I mentioned, a qualitative and a quantitative analysis to look at the actual type of effort and both from a qualitative standpoint and a financial standpoint, what it would take to consider different paths moving forward for Brainerd Crow Ring Transit. So with the goals in mind of providing the best customer service possible, maintaining the fleet to a state of good repair, and then also operating in a financially efficient manner. So as mentioned, this study was funded by MnDOT and went through a 4-step process, and the slides moving forward will be numbered to show you each step in the process. So first, we defined different possible scenarios for consideration. Then we looked at what it would actually take from a liability, from a manpower, from a pros and cons approach to each of these options. Then we conducted a financial analysis, so there could be actual numbers to compare between the different scenarios. And then we combined the qualitative analysis results and the financial analysis results together into a recommendation. So we'll walk through each of those 4 steps in the process here with you today.
Chairman?
Next slide, please.
Chairman,
Yes, please.
are you able to take questions while you're doing this?
Sure.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we don't have to wait till the end to do questions. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
All
no
right.
problem.
Okay.
Any questions so far? I guess I'll stop there and ask.
Yeah, I got a question, if I could.
Go ahead.
You're a team, correct, from MnDOT, you work for MnDOT. How many of these have you done for other municipalities or counties? Before I-
Tina, you want to jump in there? I see you.
Is
Try
it
it again. There you go.
now? Is it working? Yeah, I noticed the video's going in and out, and so I guess our system doesn't quite work well with WebEx. So this is really the first. So we are contracting with DRB, and then they are subcontracting with AECom. And so, but this is like the first of this kind of study that we've requested so far. And
Okay.
the thing is, the system has to request a project.
And you're, what's BRB, or what is that?
DRB, it's a contractor,
For MnDOT?
not for MnDOT, but who we contract with. They put in a bid for the consultant project.
Okay, I just kind of wanted to find out a little background, I guess, so, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
But they're not MnDOT employees, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay, you can proceed if you would, please.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Alrighty, so for a little bit of background and for a little bit of context for rural transit across greater Minnesota. So there are 27 rural transit agencies across greater Minnesota. Most, so 25 out of 27 of the rural transit agencies across Minnesota do directly operate service. In other words, they don't contract out with a vendor to operate their services. So City of Brainerd and Winona are the only ones that contract services out. That is different from the urban systems across the state. Some of the agencies, the transit agencies across greater Minnesota, are part of the city, county, or local government, like City of Brainerd, like Brainerd Crow Ring Transit, and some are sit as part of a parent company or a social or human service agency. So there's some variety across greater Minnesota with where transit sits within the community. Looking nationwide, 85% of rural transit systems are directly operated, which is, as I mentioned before, different when you look at the urban systems like Duluth, Rochester, that type of size of system. Nationwide, about 50% of the urban systems are directly operated, so more urban systems contract out for services than rural. Also, state law does dictate a minimum local share in operating transit services of 15%. And that is legislatively mandated and does change over time. So from 2024 to 25, the agencies were granted a temporary reduction to a 5% local share, and then for 2026 to 2027, the agencies were granted a temporary reduction to a 10% local share, but under normal conditions, that local share percentage would be 15%. Ready? Next slide, please.
And you said that's per statute, the 15%?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, Alrighty, so in looking at the possible options for operating transit service in the Brainerd Crow Wing County area, we looked at 4 different potential scenarios. Right now, the services are contracted out to a vendor. So the first option would be the same method as is currently used, which is continuing to contract the service out. It wouldn't have to be the same contractor, but there would be a request for proposals for service operations, and a contractor would be selected through the normal process for operating the service. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 could be that the city of Brainerd directly operates the transit service, and the city would then absorb all of the responsibilities and bring drivers and dispatch in-house. And then transit would become a department of the city. So that's what we call directly operating service. So that's scenario number 2. Scenario number 3 would be to have the county directly operate the service, and in that case, Crow Wing County would absorb the responsibilities and bring drivers and dispatchers in-house, and then transit would become a county department. And then our 4th scenario is that contractors are utilized for some parts of operating the service, but not all. So dispatch and maintenance could be brought in-house while operators would continue to be contracted out. So these were the different options and different scenarios that we looked at as part of this analysis. Any questions on that?
Well, if I may, under your city directly operates, you show the cost of administration as $112,445. And I'm suggesting that that is a figure that might be a beginning figure, but it will certainly increase. Will it increase greater than a contractor cost would increase? That's an unknown. But I think that is a somewhat flawed scenario. The city is sort of in control of what it will decide is administration. They can make it look good or they can make it look bad. That doesn't mean that it's accurate. I mean, anytime the city does something, there's more than the direct cost. We might have a Mike's oversight cost, but there would be, the administrator would have a piece of it. Probably there would be other city personnel. So I really question how accurate that is.
Could I speak up on that? I think there's confusion. Personnel, the first line item, so these go along with our state line item categories. Administration, which is the category 1100, that is like legal costs, audit costs, staff development, office supplies. If you're referring to the cost for staff, that is under personnel. And so that's a different line, that's the top line item. So the 112,000 for admin that's not staff time.
But again, that's a guesstimate.
It is according to what your budgets have come in as year after year.
Okay, thank you.
And where it currently is, yes.
Any other questions?
Oh, yeah.
Not, you can continue.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we looked at the 4 different scenarios, and again, 1 was continuing contracting the service out, 2 was directly operated by the city of Brainerd, 3 was the county operation, and 4 is a hybrid approach. So we conducted a qualitative analysis looking at 7 different criteria, which are listed on the right-hand side of the screen here, and those are complexity, liability, control, staffing requirements, uncertainty, as you mentioned, there is of course uncertainty into the future, customer service and maintenance and vehicle state of good repair. So for each of these categories, we looked at each of the scenarios and applied a scoring factor between 1 and 5 with a maximum score of 35. And really we were looking to see here, comparing the different scenarios, if there were any that were just far and away much either more complex, harder to implement, see if any could be determined to be somewhat infeasible and remove it from consideration. So that's what we're really trying to accomplish through this development of qualitative analysis, and then moving forward with the remaining scenarios and digging in deeper into what the actual implications would be for moving through each, looking at each different scenario. So if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, please. The results are shown here for each of the scenarios, and again with a maximum score of 35. And you can see that the score for scenario 3 was quite a bit lower than the other, which was the county operation that is we then eliminated because of high complexity, liability, uncertainty, and then loss of city control of the service. So you can see that scenario 1 in contracting the services out received a score of 16. Scenario 2, a score of 23, which would be the city operating the services, and scenario 4, which was a hybrid approach, receiving a score of 21. So we did remove scenario 3 from further analysis in order to be able to focus in more on those with the most level of feasibility. So pause here and see if folks have any questions.
Anyone? Okay, you can continue.
Alrighty, thank you very much. So moving forward, the next step was to conduct a financial analysis on the remaining 3 scenarios. As noted, the line items are based on MnDOT guidelines on the line items for budgeting and financial analysis and tracking. So the analysis conducted was based on peer systems across the state of Minnesota and in other rural areas, historical trends for Brainerd Crow Wing transit, statewide and national best practices, as well as industry trends. So you can see we did break it out by line item for comparison purposes. In scenario 1, continuing to contract service out, you can see that there would be no additional staff hired in that scenario. It would have an estimated cost of $1.67 million. For scenario 2, with the city directly operating service, there would be additional 15 staff to be hired and a cost of $1.65 million to operate. And the hybrid scenario would look at additional 3 staff to be hired by the city, and that would be a total of $1.71 million to operate. The savings between continuing to contract out the services and the city directly operating the services would be relating to the contractor oversight fees and revenue, better vehicle maintenance, so those together, the savings from those are greater than the additional personnel costs as noted in that first line item. So scenario 2 would be the most cost effective to operate. So pause here and ask if folks have any questions on this.
May I?
Yes, please.
So just give me the number for 1 and 2, the total dollars. keep it the way it is, contractors, third-party contractor, and for the city to do it, what's the dollar amount?
Number one,
And two, yeah, and the
number-
city doing it, yeah.
number one is $1,672,127,
Okay,
and number two is $1,654,234, $1,654,234.
1,654,000? Thank you, that's all I needed, thank you.
Would not those figures to some degree, though, they are guesstimates?
That's,
They are, okay, they are based on historical trends, from the costs and, the costs from Brainerd Crow Wing Transit, peer analysis from other agencies across greater Minnesota, industry standards, and best practices.
What did you include in the cost of administration?
So administration, I believe, Tina, that's a question for you there.
Yeah, Mary, are you actually referring to personnel? Staffing?
Well, I'm almost 100% certain that if the city of Brainerd were to take it in-house, a portion of administration would also be assigned to the city administrator. So I'm really questioning if your figure is accurate.
Yeah, that would be under personnel, and I don't know, Jill, if you can touch on, like, maybe the number, how, the positions that are included in the personnel category?
So really, the
Sure.
bottom line is it's kind of a guesstimate.
Well, it would be based on similar size transit systems that operate here in Minnesota and what Brainerd, their current costs, and what it would typically cost to run a size system for the city of Brainerd, and the number of personnel that would be needed. So, and I don't know if you're looking at the number, this would include drivers, dispatchers, and then also a percentage time for accounting, Mike's time, and so forth. That's all in the personnel category.
Thank you. Any other questions?
yeah, if I could, on that same note, when you look at the dollar amount associated with the third-party contractor keeping it, and then the taking it in-house, currently our contract, the increase, there is an increase year over year for that. I mean, that's staff, maybe we start at a total amount and there's an increase every year of what it is, like 3%, if I'm not mistaken?
I believe it's 5%.
5%, okay, so, of course, and of course, that adjusted with our local share. That will increase as well based on that cost, is that a correct way of putting that? Or am I just, maybe I'm kind of speaking out of school there. So what I'm getting at is when you establish that price, or that dollar amount of expense, that's not fixed. That's gonna trend to go up just as everything else does, right?
That's correct,
Okay,
yes.
so
it
your
would
third
continue
party,
to go up.
your third party contractor is also, if there's a new contract, will likely see that increase as well as with any other operator, no matter how we do it, correct?
Generally, yes, you're correct, and these numbers do already include the increase for 2026. But you're right, of course, costs for everything are going up
All right, yeah.
continually.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
You may go on.
Okay. So moving forward and looking at the operating costs and revenue trends for Brainerd Crow Wing Transit, we have a chart here showing how the operating costs have trended over time. There was a 6% reduction from 2023 to 2024, and that was resulting from a decrease in service operated. Then for between 2024 and then the 2025 budgeted year, there was an increase of 13.9%. There was no change in hours of service, but the costs are from one additional transit specialist position, and due to the condition of the vehicles, an additional $50,000 associated with maintenance costs. For 2026, the budget shows an increase of 4.6% and assumes the same service levels as the previous year. Again, the same level of service. And we can see here from 2025 budget, we are showing a pie chart that shows 10% of the sources of revenue come from fare box and ad revenue, and the remaining 90% come from state and federal funding, and zero coming from local funding.
Any questions? Okay.
Righty, so looking at scenario 2, which is the city operating the service as compared to the 2026 budget, which again was a 4.6% increase from 2025. There is a savings of about $48,000, about a 3% difference between the 2026 budget and scenario 2. And that savings could be spent on one-time transition costs. But it should be noted, as always, that because of the legislatively mandated 10% local match for 2026, MnDOT will fund up to 90% of the actual operating costs, which is about 1.5 million, or actuals. Depending on which is less, because of the 10% local match requirement.
So if I may,
Please.
so as you said, the next year's 2026 contract cost is going up, what is it, 4.6, you said, something? Is that correct?
That's the amount of money, the revenue from the operating grant through MnDOT.
Right, so that's increasing like 4.6 roughly percent. And you're suggesting that if the city had this in-house, they would only see about a 3% increase from this year to next?
No, the savings would be about
okay,
a 3% savings.
Okay, so, okay, let me just get this in my head here. But right now, when the third-party contractor is operating this bus, they are revenue taking in a dollar figure. What's that estimated to be next year, though? Because currently it's what did you say it was earlier, 1.7 million or 1.67? So next year it'll be what?
For the contractor?
Yeah. If you went back to your number you gave me earlier, what the cost to do it in-house and what currently the third-party contractor is receiving?
Yes, so the difference between scenario 1, which is continue to contract, is 1.67 million.
Right, okay.
And directly operated is 1.65.
So, but now, if we did this in-house, that let's just say 1.67 million, even though you said it would be a little less than that, if I'm not mistaken, if the city did, that's paying employees working for the city of Brainerd then, and taking care of the bus service. That's the money coming from the state and federal government, the grant money. And I just want to make sure we all understand, and myself included, that money is now paying drivers, dispatchers, and other administrative staff to do their job to keep the bus running, maintained, and all those things. And that's how we're looking at this, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so when things go up, they go up, it's a third-party contractor, we're paying more as was built into the contract when we agreed to it 2 years ago, right? Okay. That's all I have.
Anything further?
Nope, nothing, to me, no.
I'm okay.
Okay.
All righty. Then our final slide then brings the two pieces together with the qualitative analysis and the financial analysis, going back to the goals of maximizing control, reducing liability, reducing uncertainty and risk, providing the best customer service, and maintaining vehicles to a state of good repair and operating in a cost-efficient manner. We looked at each of the remaining scenarios, 1, 2, and 4. And in each case, there's a preferred scenario in order to to meet each of these goals for maximizing control. That's scenario 2, or in-house operations. For reducing liability, that is contracting out some of the services, which would be scenarios 1 or 4. Then for both reducing risk and providing the best possible customer service, that the scenario with the best likelihood for success there would be scenario 2, which is in-house operations. For maintenance and state of good repair, in-house maintenance, which is scenarios 2 or 4, would have the greatest likelihood of success there, and the most cost efficient based on the financial analysis we just walked through would be scenario 2, or to bring the operations in-house. So as you see, scenario 2 is the most frequently cited goal-reaching scenario here in the qualitative analysis, as it was in the financial analysis. So the recommendation is scenario 2, bringing the service in-house. So would love to answer any other questions or thoughts you'd like to walk through.
Well, I still don't understand how you arrived at the vehicle cost if the city directly operates. And I really don't understand how you arrived at the personnel or the administrative costs. Those have to be guesstimates on your part. I'm guessing that the 206,000 you're attributing to vehicle operation by the city, you are not considering all of the maintenance work and such that would be done in-house.
So for the maintenance in-house, the difference here does include bringing in a more substantial preventative maintenance in-house to city standards. And it's also, vehicle also includes maintenance and fuel.
Madam President? could
Yes,
I-
please.
And on scenario 1, these are actual budget figures from our finance, and so these are actual. And regarding scenario 2, Crystal, correct me if I'm wrong, regarding the vehicles, what was the insurance that we pay the third party versus if we did in-house?
I don't want to quote it wrong on exactly what we're reimbursing the contractor, somewhere around 80,000. If we were to bring it in-house, it would be somewhere more around 30,000. So there was a large savings there if we were to bring insurance back in-house again.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
And so when you talk about maintenance, and we have, I assume, I say that cautiously, that you've then established that the current number of employees we have available to do maintenance on our current fleet of vehicles would be able to take on the additional buses. That's also figured in? Is that correct?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm asking the
Yes,
consultants.
that is
Okay, Mike.
part of the scenario. And one of the graphs that is not here is just all the different scenarios for the staffing. We have a model where it's like 0.49% for HR to handle the hiring of all these individuals, X percent for finance department. And Mary, to answer your question, Nick, as a city administrator, is not a factor in this scenario. He never was, and he's not moving forward, even though he does touch a little bit of transit. But those figures are not reflective in here.
May I?
Yes, please.
So when you say 0.49% of HR, that's 0.49% of the budget for the transit grant dollars going to so you gotta define that for me.
Right.
But the
And
0.49% to HR is money paid to the HR coordinator?
correct, actually, I'm gonna Tammy or Jill, can you speak of that?
Sure. Yes. So there are several activities that would need to happen in HR and admin to bring staff in house and to support transit. So 0.5, what we mean there of a position is full-time equivalent. So basically half of a person's salary would be then covered through the transit grant in order to be able to support the transit program.
So you're saying that nearly half the salary for the HR coordinator or that position would be covered through the transit grant? The money
That's
we
correct. Yeah.
Okay, so if they earn $150,000, then that roughly $75,000 would pay the city employee in HR from the transit grant. That's what you're saying? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
How it's done internally to the city is up to the city.
okay.
But yes, that level of support is incorporated and allowable under the transit grant.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, it's not the director, it's the HR assistant, and 39% of that, their salary is covered.
You just said 49 or 39, which one is it?
39, sorry.
39. Where did
0.39.
49 come from?
I'm
Okay,
not sure.
no problem. So it's 0.39% of the, okay. Thank you. No, just so I know, that's because the assistant is a lower paid person.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't have any more.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do you want to continue?
Our presentation is concluded, so we'd be happy to answer any other questions you have or talk through anything you'd like to talk through.
If it were taken in-house, and this is probably more for Mike, where would the city anticipate storing the vehicles?
In the same location that they currently are, at the NP Center. We currently pay the contractor X number of dollars to store them there, and they would continue to be stored there until we can find a new location.
Okay,
And also, Madam Chair, at some point in time, we have the HR director here, Chris is here. I'm not sure if she would like to speak or not, but if she could have an opportunity to speak, that would be good.
Madam Chair?
yes.
I gotta maybe ask the consultants or whoever, I think the consultants, if you're there, is there any grant money available that would help with the transition the city would have to go through to change from the third-party contract design we have to an in-house design?
Yeah. Hi, Jeff. This is Tina with MnDOT. Yes, it's called a transition grant. So these would be state funds, one time, to look at the transition cost to going in-house. So the transition costs could include some additional staff time. That could be the upfront cost, kind of the one time of hiring the drivers, dispatchers. So that could be HR's time, that kind of thing. That could fall under a transition grant, since that would kind of be more of a heavy front end kind of costs, any marketing that might be needed, anything with that transition time.
So
And
interview,
typically,
I'm
it's
sorry.
not a lot of money. The most I've seen is maybe a couple 100,000. And this is just, like I said, the transitioning and like in one-time funds.
Would that be for like employee interview, when you have staff interview with employees, even though they're currently working for the third-party
Yep.
contract? Pardon me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be employee time for hiring, all of
Okay.
that could be in the transition grant. Yep.
If I could, Madam Chair?
Please continue.
And then as far as the housing of the employees, essentially a new department, is there any type of money available to renovate or take over office space, say at the annex next door, if the city is able to get that? Is that something that could be, is there any aid available or financial aid for that?
Yeah, we have our facility grants. And so that's a variety, that's either a mix of state or federal funds. There's also state bond funds if we know about projects ahead of time and we're able to put in for bond funds. As you know, government agencies are eligible for bond funding. So though we could look at that, we do look 4 years ahead when we're looking at facility projects. So the sooner you would know something for a facility, the more you would like to. It ends the current for the next funding cycle ends on September 30th next week for facility projects. So you'd be looking at the next year for the next cycle. And the thing is, this can change because you have facility projects that either are on hold or they find they can't continue with it, and so they do take them out of the cycle. So you know, even though it might look 4 years out, that can change.
Okay. Could I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I guess this would be for you, Tina, if you could, maybe, I don't know, but, so when you look at these transit systems, I don't know how many you are involved with, but would it be a fair statement to make that I'll just say it this way directly, is there any transit system, public transit system you're aware of in the state of Minnesota that operates at a municipal or county level that doesn't receive some large form of state and federal funding?
I'm not aware of any that don't operate without state and federal funds.
So it's safe to say that virtually every rural transit is reliant on the dollars we get from the state and federal government to operate.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
So in that case, if there was say funding cuts, whatever it might be, from whatever government level, state or federal, it goes without saying there would have to be people that would wind up more than likely losing their jobs. Service cutbacks, all that would happen. It would be a safe thing to count on? Layoffs, that type of thing?
Well, for our funding has been stable for many years. We did receive a slight cut from the general fund recently for 2 years. However, our state funds, most of them come from the formula of the vehicle sales tax and a small amount of general funds. And then we've had stable federal funding.
No, I understand that. But
Yeah.
if there were to be some sort of cuts, it would stand to reason that people would probably have to be laid off that work for the city of Brainerd if the city were to take it in-house, if we couldn't afford to operate based on the
And that
federal.
would be, and that would be an internal decision then. I can
Right.
say that with our funding, if there are any cuts, our primary focus will be on operating.
Okay.
And so then we would first cut back funding for vehicle replacement facilities, large capital, and focus more on the operating to keep operations going for transit systems.
Sure, and you want to maintain the same level of service, but I mean, overall, we're reliant on state and federal money. What I'm getting at is if there were a cut, and it's all hypothetical, I understand that, I just want to make that clear, that it's very possible that we could not employ the same number of people, especially if you had to cut back on service and that. I understand we don't like to talk about people losing jobs, but it is a possibility, right?
It's a possibility, but those would also be internal decisions,
Right.
looking at your budget, looking at how to bring in maybe greater revenue and those type of things. There's different factors
Certainly,
with
yep.
that, but yeah, that would all be internal then.
Okay, yep, thank you. That's all I have for now, thanks.
Jan, go ahead.
Yes, I'm gonna just touch back with Mike about, if we go in-house, wouldn't Nick have some oversight for this department?
Yes, even now, Nick has some oversight. I brief him all the time on transit. It's just, for some reason, the state, does not touch his salary, doesn't touch the HR director's salary, and so forth. We have multiple individuals that do touch it, but we don't receive funding for those.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Even though, like my position, I think I forget the dollar or the percentage that my position is funded by this operation. I may spend a little bit more than that time, working with transit and making sure that it is running accordingly to our standards.
Okay. And Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
I'd like to kind of follow up with what Jeff was talking about. Even if we did not go in-house, if there was a cut in our funding, it would also affect the third-party contractor, would it not?
Correct.
Internally, we would have to have them lay people off,
Right.
whether
So,
we're in-house or with third-party contractor.
correct. Someone would have to lay them off, whether it be the city or the third-party contractor.
Contract, so it
But
would-
it was
affect-
nice to hear that they would prioritize the operation as a highest priority and the facilities and so forth as a lower priority. Just keeping the operation moving forward is the number one priority.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Can somebody explain to me, you said you'd hire 15 new employees if it went in-house. That's your analysis. And those would be dispatchers and drivers. And is there would these all be full FTE, every one of them?
No.
Do you know what the breakdown would be?
Crystal, do you have that chart?
It-
If I could just clarify, so the state, their recommendation is almost like a little pie chart, if you will. And at the very bottom, we had much dialogue back and forth. At the end, they just indicated, Mike, this is your funding. You operate it as you see fit. So whether it's, you could hire 20 people at $5 an hour or X number of people at, an average salary. So that is a nice aspect, is that we can run it as we see fit for the city of Brainerd.
Okay, can I then ask, Crystal's position right now is funded primarily through the grant dollars we get from the state. Is there a local share in that,
Crystal?
Crystal, in your salary?
Not technically, I'm technically 100% funded, but we still have that currently 5% local share responsibility
Yep.
when we go over a certain dollar amount, if we do.
And that's covered through our fare collection.
Correct.
Okay, so then with the other staff, I forget our new person's name, I'm sorry.
Aaron.
Aaron. Okay, is Aaron here?
Aaron is here.
Hi, Aaron. Anyway, and where would Aaron and Crystal fit into this structure, if you will, in transit? How would that be laid out if it was in-house? What's the,
So Crystal would be the coordinator. Aaron and another operator would oversee the day-to-day operations of that.
Okay.
One individual would oversee the dispatcher and all the drivers. The other individual would oversee fleet management and, vehicle maintenance and so forth. And Crystal would be over those two individuals. And there may be a part-time person in there too. It all depends on how we put that pie chart together. But that's how that would lay out, is Crystal would be the coordinator. She would have 2 reports, and then underneath that would be the bus drivers and the dispatcher.
okay,
I would think almost certainly if it was in-house, that all of the employees would be plugged into the city's personnel plan.
Correct.
And that might very well mean change in how they're identified and all likelihood, an increase in their salary.
Correct.
And that will probably fall on the city.
Correct. And
So we're not looking at a costless option. We're not, taking it in-house is not a costless option. It's probably a costly option. I don't know why we don't just put it out for bids. It's worked well. It's taken a lot of headaches away from the city. Most of the third-party operators have been reasonable, I think, done quite a good job. I honestly don't know why we're going this route. I mean, it looks to me to be blunt like kingdom building. Somebody wants to build their kingdom. They'll go to the council, they'll want more help, they'll justify it, and they'll probably get it. At the end of the day, whether the state puts in more money or it ends up with the city, it's the taxpayers. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. You all pay taxes, you know? And I'm pushing 93 years old. And believe it or not, I still pay taxes. I'm still paying not just city taxes on my house and property, state taxes, federal taxes. You know, we've got to be looking for the very best for all of us, for the citizens. Not just service, which is important, but cost, which is important. And I'm going to sit here today and make you a bet. I want you to make note that if the city takes this in-house, within 5 years, our costs will have doubled. And the city will, and Jeff Chisok, if he's sitting there, will be begging the council to put in a levy. I'm willing to bet that. So I'm saying, let's go out for bids. You know, we're going on and on to justify taking it in-house. You can dress it up all you want to, in frills and a top coat, but in my opinion, it's still a pig. And I'm not in favor of it. I'm just going to say it right out. I'd like to see us go out for bids. The one thing I would compromise on is, again, the city put in a bid as well. Put in a bid, but go out for bids. I think that's the only cost-effective thing to do.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I understand your point, but I've been on the Transportation Committee for a while, and we seem to always have some issues with our third-party contractor, whether it's failure to follow the contract, which for its oversight falls on the city, usually Crystal. I think it's worthwhile looking at having in-house, especially if we're looking at a cost of $50K for increased maintenance. If we had it probably in-house, we would probably have better care for our vehicles. We'd be able to track it a lot better. I'm going to just say, I do think we should be looking at bringing it in-house. I can't, oh yeah, 50K for extra maintenance cost for the 25 budget. That's a lot of money. And I know we have an old fleet, and we've been very good about keeping this old fleet running. But if there's ways we can make it so it doesn't cost us an arm and a leg at the end.
If I may, Jen, with all respect, once it's in-house, it's too late. You're stuck with it until you can go out again for some kind of a contract bid. Once it's in-house, you're going to pay for it, regardless of what it costs, until the time you can go out again for a bid. Anything from you, Jeff?
Of course there is.
I think we should move on here with some kind of a decision.
Okay, does that mean you don't want me to talk?
No, I want you to talk. And then I think we should
Well,
probably,
I gotta say, the analysis that's been done here, never been done before, and I've talked about this for, I don't think I've done it specifically at transit, but I've talked to staff over the years. And if there's ever a way to do a transition from what we've been doing for decades, there has to be an analysis, okay? I think this has been, from what I can tell, well thought out, deliberated at length, extensively, and they're taking, these numbers are coming from our financial department, other rural bus systems that are operated by the municipalities or the counties, the government entities. And the one thing that always comes to mind, change is always hard. It never is easy. It's never easy to change from one third-party contract to another, contractor to another. There's always that wonder, well, is this gonna be better or worse? Is it gonna cost more? Are we gonna be more efficient? Is the service gonna be better? Is it gonna be worse? All these things come up. I am confident that we'll have far superior oversight of what goes on essentially minute by minute when and if we were to have an in-house operation. That's not even a question. When we have staff that have a stake in what goes on, this is, because if this doesn't work well, there's people that work here that are gonna say, we may just get rid of this because I'm not doing a good job. And they want to be efficient, Mary. I don't think there's a single person that works at City Hall that doesn't want to be efficient and work as best they can for the taxpayers. And we always see, you know, the union employee always gets labeled as all they want is more money. Well, you show me a place where that doesn't happen. You show me a place in whatever business where people aren't looking to make more money. And it's a tough nut to crack, regardless of whose business it is, if it's a private, if it's government. It's always, people are always, when prices go up, people need more money to buy stuff. So that's how it works. To see this operation, do I see a flipping a switch and changing? No, there has to be more discussion. It can't just be, okay, we're gonna decide today, make a recommendation and say, yeah, let's do this tomorrow. So, but I would be willing at this point to say, instead of just saying, I'm not gonna bet 5 years down the road and say, Jeff Chesak, if I'm still here, I'm gonna ask the council for a levy, because I've never, ever been in favor of levying to taxpayers for transit, because it should be able to pay for itself based on the fares we collect, because once you start increasing service, you will garner more customers, you get more local match, you also then have more people riding, they hear it's a good operation, you have established a revenue stream in that regard, and if the state and federal money is there, if that's there, we're going to accept it and use it like every other rural transit system does, every urban transit system does. And so it's almost like I see this as an opportunity to try and do a better job. And this, I gotta tell you, this is off topic a bit, but this new routing or dispatching system, if we incorporate that with a well-managed operation coming from City Hall, I think we could make this essentially a service people would be absolutely proud of in this community. That's in Baxter, Brainerd, and surrounding. So that's just my thoughts. Of course, 1 out of 7 people that decide this, so.
Well, all I can say is the city continues to raise my taxes every year, and the service really doesn't change. So I'm pretty sure that would be about the same thing. What I would like to see happen, and I don't know if it's possible, if we could go out for bids and let the city bid along with anybody who might be interested. That would be an interesting thing to do. Put together a set of relatively objective bid specs and let let the city bid, let Reichert bid, let this company we've had bid, see what happens. I think that'd be interesting. Go ahead, Mike.
I'd question if we could do that based on where the grant recipient and,
I don't know. I
and
don't
we'd
know.
have to be competitive, and who would analyze those?
I don't know.
Kind of,
I'm just saying, I
oh,
think.
you could be impartial.
I think it would be a very interesting thing to do. Go ahead, Mike.
One thing to Councilman Jezak's point is we were discussing, Crystal brought up a great point that we would present a business model before it, like Councilman indicated, it's not going to be a light switch. This is a process of going down this road. Do we want to do this? And putting together a business model would be showing essentially a bid process, how we could do. I've already met with the directors that would be involved with this decision, HR, finance, and IT. And they would be part of that business model, that we would really capture all the pros and cons, the actual dollar amounts that would take to bring this in-house. And then we could present that at a later, maybe next month. I'm not sure, I don't want to put a timeline on Crystal and Aaron, but a business model would show true numbers and how this would really act, put forth from what the consultants indicated, 0.1 here, 0.2 here, these positions. We would put that in a org chart and have actual positions and actual dollars to this model to bring it in-house.
Who would do something like that? I mean, what companies do that?
Provide like a business model?
Yeah.
Crystal and Aaron. I'm sure they are more than qualified and able to, I don't want to speak for them, but it was Crystal's idea, and I think it's a great idea to put forth a business model. And essentially, Mary, you're absolutely right. This would be an RFP from the City Hall staff putting forth to say, this is how we could do it. This is how we could better service City of Brainerd. And again, nothing against Blue Sky and all that they're doing. We're just looking out for efficiencies, measures, cost savings measures, and so forth.
I have great respect for Crystal, but wouldn't she be a little bit biased in putting together anything like this? A little biased in favor of the city? I mean, really, it'd be good to see some comparisons. Once it's in the city, whatever happens, all that ever happens is the council just raises the taxes and raises the taxes. I don't know, have your taxes gone down this year? Oh, mine either. Is your service better? Oh, mine either. Okay, enough said.
So if we were to get out of this meeting, would you look for direction from this transit to ask that a business model be presented? Would that be to the council? Would it be back to transit? What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, we would like a recommendation from the TAC committee, and we will bring that recommendation. This is already going to be on the October 6th city council agenda, and we'll be having the same presentation, same recommendations, keep it in-house, changing nothing, or do a business model and present at a later date to make a final decision moving forward for the 26 operation.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
that we can move on. I would like to direct staff to go ahead and do a business model that'd be able to present it to TAC and City Council. I would like to make that motion.
I have a motion by Jan, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay? Anything more you need from us, Mike, on this issue?
No, that is it. Thank you.
Okay. So where do we go from here? Somebody kind of we're putting together, are we going to be meeting again then to review
Next
that
month, yes.
before the council or what?
Well, we're going to be presenting the same presentation to council
Okay.
in October 6th, and then we'll be having the same recommendation.
Okay.
But you can be assured, we're already starting with this. And I'd like to just ask Chris, HR, if she would like to add anything at this time.
Okay, please.
I'm just here to learn, so I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? It's been kind of a long and a kind of a cantankerous meeting, but I think it was some things that had to be brought out and talked about, so thank you. And Jeff? Oh,
I
I
didn't
thought you
notice
had your
anything.
hand up to say something.
Just moving his
I'm sorry.
speakers.
I didn't notice anything that was cantankerous.
Okay,
Either, yeah.
okay. So, there's no further business to come before
Not the
us?
library board, Mary.
And then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Discussion, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.